Ashe, greetings, grand rising, a grand day, and peace and goodwill to you all once again, my fellow natural native earthly humans, you the earth's organic humans and soulful humans, you my fellow humans with soul the world over. Yes, you don't know that this is yours truly, I the mystic philosopher. And may I say many thanks for stopping by my channel and giving up your time to be listening to this another perspective with yours truly, I, the mystic philosopher. Now, the title of the talk today is in the form of a few questions, or a question. And the question is, who or what is the United States of America? Another perspective. So I will preamble this short talk by asking and answering a few questions. First question, who or what is the United States of America? Now, from yours truly, I the mystic philosopher's perspective, the United States of America is evidently the representative and the administrators of the Christian God kingdom on this earth today. And if or when all things are seriously and honestly considered, by extension, it is the representative and the administrators of the Abrahamic God kingdom here on earth today. And how do I know that? And why did I say that? Some of you no doubt might be asking. Well, from my perspective, it is by their fruits. That is how I know. That is how I know that. Meaning, it is by their deeds, by their works, and by their actions, by their words, by their behavior, and their manifestations, etc. That is how I know that. And that is why I say that. For example, from I was a child, I was taught by my parents, by my church, by my school, by my community, and by the country that the Christian God, also known as the God of the Christian Bible, is the most powerful God among all other gods that are upon the earth. I was taught that. And I was also taught by my parents, by my church, by my school, by my community, by my country, and also by the news media, etc., that the United States of America is the most powerful country and the most powerful government among all the 195 countries, governments, and nations that are upon the earth. And by the same token, I was also taught and led to believe that the President of the United States of America is the most powerful man upon the earth. And that just like the Christian God, he, the President of the United States, has the power to determine who speak, whose voices are heard, who live, who prosper, who suffer, and who die. He has the power to determine which country survive, which country rise and prosper, and which country are subdued, and which country and nation or nations perish, etc. I was also taught and led to believe that anyone who criticizes or challenge the Christian God or speak evil of the kingdom of the Christian God is destined to suffer the wrath of the Christian God. And by the same token, anyone who dares to challenge, criticize, or speak evil of the United States or of its president are also destined, if not doomed, to suffer the wrath of the United States and of its president. Now, question number 2. Is the Christian, and by extension, the other two major Abrahamic religions, namely Judaism and Islam, are their God a God of war? And from my perspective, the answer to that question is a resounding yes. And please stay tuned for the proof. that I will offer from their own holy book. Question number 3. If the answer to the aforementioned question is yes, then is it possible for them to be anything other than warmongers and thus the antithesis or the enemies to peace? And the answer to this question, from my perspective, is also a resounding no. It is not possible. And here is my reason why. Now, according to their own Adamic race history and holy book, aka the Christian Holy Bible, and if my interpretation of the English language is in any way correct, the answer to question 2, namely, is the Christian and by extension the other 2 major Abrahamic religions, namely Judaism and Islam, are their God a God of war? Is a resounding yes. And I quote from the Adamic race history and holy book, according to Exodus chapter 15 verse 3, the Lord, also known as Yahweh and Jehovah, is a man of war. I didn't make it up. Honestly, please check it for yourself in almost any version or translation. But from my perspective, there is no ambiguity about this statement, that is written right there, Exodus chapter 13 verse 3. Question number 4. If the Christian and by extension the Abrahamic religions and their God is the God of war, or is a God of war, can any of us sane, natural, native, earthly humans expect them meaning the people of the God of war, to know peace? Or to be filled with peace? Expect them to find peace? Or to be at peace with themselves? Or with us and others? Think on this. Again, from my perspective, the answer to this question is a resounding no. For as the saying goes, like father, like son. It is in their DNA. For again, according to their own Adamic race history and holy book, aka the Christian Holy Bible, the way of peace, I didn't make this up, the way of peace they know not. There's no justice in their paths. They have turned them into crooked roads. No one who walk along them will know peace. Isaiah 59 and verse 8. And I just read from the New International Version. Again, please check it out for yourself. The way of peace, they know not. They know not peace. And they can't. I just explained why. Question number 5. Is the United States government the representative of the kingdom of the Christian God on earth? And from my perspective, the answer is another resounding yes. And hopefully, from all that I have said thus far, along with all the examples that I have given and quotes that I have made, by the end of this short talk, you too, my listeners and analytical and honest thinkers, might agree with me that they are. Question number 6. Is the United States President the appointed vicar, head priest, king, and true representative of the Christian God kingdom on earth? Again, if a person's actions speaks even louder than their words, then again my answer to this question is another resounding yes. So far, only one no. And hopefully by the end of this talk again, you too will also see, understand, and understand how and why I came to that conclusion, or how and why I have come to this conclusion. Let me offer some more proof by quoting from the CBC News article as to why the United States of America, its president and its government, is the representative and defender of the kingdom of the Christian God here on earth. CBC News, and I quote, Trump vows guns a-blazing response to Nigeria over alleged anti-Christian prosecution, unquote. Now, for your information, my people, a vow is a solemn promise. And for your information, the word solemn means very serious. and without any humor. For example, in a solemn ceremony, in a solemn function and proceeding, or when a solemn statement is being made, etc., no form of humor, laughter, or silly behavior, etc., is expected, and neither are they tolerated. And therefore, a solemn promise is an agreement that a person makes in a serious way to do a specified thing, and he or she is no doubt expected to keep that promise. And all the Christians that I know will tell you that their God, their Christian God, always keep his promise. Therefore, his representative must keep his promise as well. And so here, according to the CBC News, CBC article headline, the President of the United States of America has solemnly promised to do a specified thing. And what is that specified thing? You may be asking. Well, Trump vows guns a-blazing response to Nigeria over alleged anti-Christian persecution. And again, I quote from the article, the president's own word. And I quote, U.S. President Donald Trump on Saturday said he has ordered the Pentagon to begin planning for potential military action in Nigeria as he stepped up his criticism that the government is failing to rein in the persecution of Christians in the West African country. Here is his own word, and I quote, "If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the United States of America, or the USA, will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria, and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns are blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities." Trump posts, unquote. Trump posts on social media, I am hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attacked our cherished Christians, unquote. Now, from my domestic philosopher's perspective, one man that have the authority and backing of his God, only a man that has the authority and backing of his God can speak, act, and will speak and act like that. Christians will also tell you that all of their God's children or all of their God's people are precious in his sight. That God's word, their God's word shall not return to him void. And I quote that. And I quote, "So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it," unquote. Isaiah 55 verse 11, New International Version. And thus, from this we can logically deduce that Nigeria is being warned that the earthly kingdom of the Christian God and the man of the Christian God today, namely President Donald J. Trump, along with his Christian army, is about to execute harsh judgment and punishment on you, my people of Nigeria. Thanks again for listening. And please stay tuned for part 4, the continuation of 3I Atlas. Time come. In the meantime and between time, I will that are in the know, please join me in both channeling and welcoming our intergalactic visitor who might well turn out to be our ancestors that some of our enemies are calling 3I Atlas. For I am the mystic philosopher. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe I say.